I'm challenging you to think big and put your big, audacious dreams out there and move confidently towards it, because that's how we're going to get it. And don't even worry about the days that we're going to be down a little bit, or as I like to say, the days that we're going to be getting up, because ultimately it's going to get there if we put the work into it. And Steve, you get this. This is this applied faith. Have faith, but faith without works is dead. You know, dream without action is a delusion. Let's just press on it, because this stuff will come true. I've realized over the last couple of days I've been dreaming way too small for way too long, and that I'm going to try to open it up even more. And when you do this, the gifts from heaven will be coming down so overwhelming we won't even have enough pockets to catch it all. And I believe in that. And I'm going to challenge you guys and anybody that's listening to my voice, whether it's today or listening to the sound of my voice in weeks and months and years to come. Let's go out there and get what we really want, because it's ours. We're the king's kids, right? All of us are the king's kids. And everything out there we want, we can go get if we're willing to go get it.
Many times we have the tools. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
What Leffert just said, Leffert's got a whole series of shows on the last 2 minutes of what Leffert's been talking about. I got to pull back my notes here because I got like 5 different things I was going to try to respond. But the one that I want to go that I think is the higher level is this. When we always talk about applied faith and we talk about James, faith without works is dead. This past week, and part of it, Fabio, is your show. Part of it came from you. You see, even faith without works is dead is saying, okay, we have faith, but we have to put it into action. But I want to go into a deeper place other than between faith and works. I want to tell you this, that after listening to Don Green, who was on my show a couple weeks ago, talking about applied faith, what I'm getting into is that it's more belief than anything else. Once you have faith, it's not just, okay, I have faith. I know the Lord wants me to succeed. He's on my side. He's training me up. I might not experience success until I'm ready. The Lord's going to determine when I'm ready. Then it will happen. All that's true. But what I'm saying is, when we're going through those deserts, when we're going through those droughts, when we're in those valleys, it's the belief, not so much the works. We have to do the works. But I actually got into what I'm saying a lot this past week, because it's like I've had an epiphany that, you know what is the answer that I'm trying to ask other people to share with me and to verbalize? It's hard to verbalize the supernatural. And so what I'm saying is that the simplest that I can tell you that is my course of action, my wife and I went, I think 2 years ago, to a conference of Joyce Meyer. We really like Joyce Meyer because she's just so down to earth. I mean, she's gone through it. She tells it like it is. We really like her. And she said one thing that I held on to that I quote all the time. When you don't know what to do, keep doing what you know is right. And that is where it lies, right there. That's where continue to do the right things that you know are right. Believe in it. And even though it looks like you're still getting beat up to heck every day and you're bleeding, that's okay. You're not going to bleed to death, because pretty soon you're going to find refreshing waters, and it's all going to happen. Describing the process of the way the supernatural and God's kingdom living takes over, it's not an easy thing to verbalize, but when you listen to Fabio, when you listen to Leffert, when you listen to Don Green, and you meditate on it, and you don't have to have the words, but just have some sort of a feeling that's the belief that's deeper, that's really more what we're doing here.
Definitely. I agree with you, and I like that about keep doing what is right, keep doing what you feel in your heart that is right. And it's all about that. And that takes a different level of awareness, I'm pretty sure. That takes the level of awareness of recognizing what is needed from you. I got to confess something to you guys. A couple of weeks ago, I had a really hard time praying. I was having a really hard time praying, and I called Misael, and I said, hey, is there any way that you can help me to understand how this praying works? Because I have been doing it for so long, but at some point I feel that I'm being like committed to something that I'm not really doing. I was praying, but I wasn't praying the way that I was feeling the connection with God, to call it like that, And then he went and explained to me something about how to pray. And after that explanation came into place, it was like everything connected again. I was able to understand exactly what I needed to do was speak out my heart. I just needed to lay my heart to speak out loud to him. But it's one of the things. I told him this. I say every morning before I leave to work and I leave the house, I jump into the car, and between now and the time that I get to where I want to be is when I pray. And then he said to me, okay, so that is the only time that you pray? I say yes. And then he says something. Then he said, you know what? But let me ask you something. If you only have a relationship with God when you are in the car for whatever the time that you are, is that a relationship? Is that really a relationship? And at that moment, I understood, and I understood what my heart wanted. It was God needed my time. God needed to be my priority in my life. So I got to confess, guys, I woke up after that day, and I set up my calendar. So I've been getting up at 4:30 in the morning to give 30 minutes first to God. I go and do that, and I tell you this much: my life has changed. Literally has changed. Because I'm starting to give in the time, to give in what is needed for God, the Creator, who has provided for me everything. And when I do it from that standpoint, is when I recognize that my level of awareness is changing, that my dream is shifting to something bigger now. I got clarity. And that is exactly what I've been feeling to do. So I connected what you just said, Stephen, about doing the right thing. And the right thing for me is giving God his time, giving God his moment, because before anything, he comes first in my life. And I don't want to turn this into a religion or anything like that, but I got to give it to my Creator, what is his. So
well,
I wanted to
make it religious, brother. Think about it. I mean, that's honest. Where our interest goes, where our focus goes, that's where our energy goes. So if we're focusing on our problems, on our issues, on our car, on our whatever, and we're giving part-time to the important stuff, what do you think we're going to really get? What do you think we're going to really get? So I applaud you for your courage. And to be quite frank, I need to be more courageous sometimes, because sometimes I forget and get caught up in other things. But you got to always go back to the source. You used the analogy earlier about the light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
The light bulb isn't the source. The light bulb is the reflection. If we give God 5 minutes on our drive, that's the size of our light bulb. The source is infinite, right? It reminds me of the story of this kid that was out fishing, and this old guy drove past, and he just saw this kid catching these big old fish, and every time he catch a fish, he throw it back, a big fish, he throw it back in the water. He catch a big fish, throw it back in the water. Catch a big fish and throw it back in the water. So the guy was just dumbfounded. He rolled back and stopped the kid and said, "Hey, son, what's going on? Why are you throwing away those big old fish?" "Well, my mama and me only got a little frying pan. So our frying pan isn't big enough for these big old fish. Our frying pan isn't big enough for these big old blessings. Our light bulb is too small for the infinite light that's coming." If we plug into the source, imagine if we plugged into the source, what would happen? And not just plug in when we needed something. This is an emergency, break the glass. The relationship means we plugged into the source all the time. And then we can get whatever out of that source we want. And it's not just the Santa Claus guy that sometimes we play. It's about that source that gives us any and everything we need, and we're connected to this whole universe. Thanks, bro. I really appreciate You hit me in the gut just then, and I appreciate you for it.
Thank you, Lefra. So, Stephen, what are all the points that you have from the lesson? Can you share with us anything else that you have in mind that you have captivated by the lesson, and any of the other points that we expressed in that? How about the story?
Yeah.
What did your wife thought about the story?
Oh gosh. Hey, let me pull up some notes for a second. I took some notes. I forgot to pull them up. I'll do that. But I want to tell you one thing while I'm pulling up my notes. I have about 30 things I think I wrote down. I'm going to zap them out for you here. Give me just a second here. Okay. Let's see what I got here. Whoa. All right. Years ago, I had a friend, and when I was first really getting mentored as a Christian, and he told me something that's the same thing that your show was. He said, Steve, everybody makes this mistake. They think that reality is the world that we're living in, and that they're praying and they're trying to get to a spiritual place. He said they have it backwards. The reality is the spiritual place, and whenever you fall out of that, pick up your foot and go back into it. And that was a beautiful thing, and that parallels your show. I used to be Jewish, and I was very, very good friends with a man named Rabbi Panitz, who was very, very beautiful. And he used to always say, Steve, whatever you do in life, always take the high road. Don't go down to that base level where a lot of people live. We always want to just be transparent. My mother was very, very much close to God, and she used to always say that, you know, we have to accept life's hardships. And when I was young, I had this thing that in some early teachings of mine in my martial arts, it was this thing that I called Gungatwa. It's just a name I made up, and basically it's that there is always going to be something come at you in life that's pain. There's always going to be something. When you heal, if you've got an injury in one part of your body, it's just a matter of time before it shifts to another part of your body. You always have to be accepting that life is hard and that there's a higher place we should be. We should all just love, I don't know. I got so much here. Experience the glow, the radiance of inner beauty, our own frailty, our weaknesses. We're all in the same arc. It's so much bigger than us. Life is temporary. Heaven is eternal. And this too shall pass. Don't sweat the small stuff. The Beatles say it as much as I like it. I use the Beatles quote a lot, the song from the end. And the love you take is equal to the love you make. It's, help others reach their goal. And then when you do that, your goals will be there. You'll succeed also. Success is, I said this forever when I was young, success is a byproduct of living a lifestyle. That's good. You want to be where you want to be. I already quoted the Joyce Myers, but it ended up in Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust the Lord with all your heart, and all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. So one of the other things that I got out of the show was about self-actualization. So I'm familiar with Maslow my whole life, and I've always sought to be at the highest level of self-actualization. And so I Googled Wikipedia, and I recommend this for everybody. Under the Wikipedia of Maslow, there's a section in there where he describes the self-actualizing characteristics. And it is the most beautiful thing that your show led me into. So I pulled that up, and I pulled it out, and I discussed it with my wife for about 45 minutes the other morning, and it gave us some of the most beautiful conversation about what life really is and what it's supposed to be that we've ever had. So I've got that here. The show's only 10 more minutes, so I'll hold on to it. But it talks about all these characteristics of people that are self-actualized. So in closing, what I want to say is what you guys are doing to wake people up and to help people find what it is that they are made to be, that God created us to be. It is just one beautiful thing. And I'd like to tell you that, so what is a church? We always talk about religion.